But we will be moving on to our next rotating segment, which last week, of course, we did hot takes. This week, we're doing the pitch, which, look at the graphic. Oh, cool. Graphic.
Pitch. Shout out to anybody who watches ESPN, especially the jump. The pitch.
The pitch. Now, usually we talk about this, and we usually put in the doc, and I don't see a name on the doc, so I believe we agreed it was Harv. Is that correct?
I'm gonna go back on my shit again.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no.
And like
Before you go, let me just explain what it is. The pitch, of course, is we are now we're switching from the hot takes, and we're switching to sort of like a recommendation segment, and we're dedicating it to obviously this week to Harv's recommendation of whatever he's about to say. I think I have an idea. Here we go. Go ahead, Harv.
No, I feel like a broken record at this point about Soulsborne games. I do feel like a broken record about these kind of games. And the one thing I want to say about these, okay, so when it comes to so I'm recommending 2 games that people need to play. 2 games. One is Bloodborne. One is Sekiro. Because these games are so different when it comes to the Soulsborne strategy or Soulsborne kind of gameplay. People go into these games thinking like they're difficult, they're hard, they're punishing. They aren't that punishing as long as you're willing to learn, right? So I recommend playing Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Sorry, I recommend playing Bloodborne, and I recommend playing Sekiro. As long as you're willing to like learn how the games are played and adapt to those games. They are games that will give you story, they'll give you lore, and they will give you satisfying combat and satisfying gameplay mechanics that will kind of make it seem like what I've been seeing from the Kind of Funny crew so far with like Blessing playing and with even Greg playing for the first time, which I was like, what? He's playing Bloodborne? Okay. Seeing people playing it for the first time makes me so happy. So happy because they're experiencing these stories for the first time. They're experiencing the lore for the first time. They're experiencing this gameplay loop that is very satisfying when you fight a boss and you beat the boss after like how many times trying to like understand the moveset and stuff like that. Because the games are punishing if you're not willing to learn the way that the games are supposed to be played. And once you learn it and you play the games and you figure out what the fighting style is for each of the bosses, the games just feel so fluid. They feel so good, and they feel very satisfying after you beat the bosses. And after you go through a story beat. And the same thing I can feel about Sekiro as well. The combat in that is probably perfected in a way with the parry and the Soulsborne strategy of what they do, what FromSoft does. It feels like it is the most polished of all of them as well. So I recommend both of those games mainly because they're so different, but they're by the same company. And just seeing the contrast between Bloodborne and Sekiro is such it's so much, but like you can see the DNA of both of them. Like you can see the DNA that is like connecting both of them together in a way. So I recommend Bloodborne and and Sekiro at the same time. So that's my recommendation this year.
Harv's on his bullshit, so I'm on mine. Hi, I'm disabled. Will they give me an easy mode?
Probably not.
They will not give you an easy mode. No, they will not give you easy mode. I wish they would have more I wish they would have more accessibility options. Like I'm on the camp of more accessibility options than I am on easy mode in a way, right? Because like I want people to experience the game itself, and so like how it's because like we had this discussion before. I think we've had this discussion before where like you have to. As long as they tune the easy mode to where it's supposed to be, not to the point where, say, Star Wars Fallen Order, where they have this mode and they just kind of decrement something or increment something in a way, right? And it just doesn't feel right. It just does not feel right. As long as they take like if they had some sort of easy mode and they put some decrements to like certain bosses and like their attacks and stuff like that, it would work. But I don't trust companies to do that, and it would. I feel like it would lessen it if they had that in the game. But I do wish that they had accessibility options in the game, like Celeste does, for example.
Conversation we had off podcast. So to reiterate for the listeners and viewers, basically how we feel about accessibility and easy modes in games is that if easy modes and hard modes, both ways, if they're done well, they're good. But so often they're just either adding HP or reducing HP, and that's not integral to how the game is designed.
No.
When I say I want an easy mode in Bloodborne, I want, maybe a little bit extra help in certain specific areas. I'm not saying just put all the bosses HP down and I can just mow through them.
No.
I want to enjoy the story and I want to enjoy the experience of playing a Soulsborne, but I physically cannot. And
exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
That's where I'm saying, like, I wish it would put more accessibility in that aspect of it, which I'm hoping Elden Ring, knock on wood, that still exists. That game has something for accessibility, because I know how Bloodborne and like just Souls games in general are so inaccessible for a lot of players because of like their difficulty and what kind of mechanics they have and stuff like that. So like I want them to have the fact, like I don't know the solution to this, but I'm hoping that they add some sort of accessibility, because I know, Sly, you would probably have a better solution than I do when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I just wanted to clarify, like, easy modes are an accessibility option, and so, like, yes, I would like more customizable than maybe just an easy mode, but that's an easy first step to, having another system of a way to play your game, but in a little bit different perspective.
100%.
I just want to clarify. Easy mode is an accessibility setting, and they don't have it. There are other ways to do accessibility, but that is one. And I just love to see more from them. Mario?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, Sly. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I agree as well. And then I'm going to pass this to Frank if he has something to say. But basically, I hope that in a lot of ways it's their structure, their easy mode and their hard mode, in the same way that's sort of like I feel like it's an unwritten rule. But if you ever play like a Mortal Kombat game, you fight through the story mode and you are kicking ass, and then eventually you hit a wall where you're getting your ass kicked. But then I noticed that like after 3 fights, after 3 times I lose, I noticed that they fight differently than I was anticipating. And then I somehow feel like I get the upper hand. Not so much I get the upper hand, it's just that it's lessened the value in terms of like the density of what I'm fighting against. And I wonder if there is a middle ground to that could be applied to this or applied to other games.
There could be to a certain extent where like the thing about like what kind of scares people about the Bloodborne and the Souls series is like the repetitiveness of it. But I think of you just like embracing the repetitiveness, right?
Sure.
Like I remember playing there's a boss in Sekiro, Genichiro, it took me 6 hours to beat this boss. Right? It took me 6 hours to beat this boss. And like, I'm watching you guys right now. I'm watching all you guys right now, and you guys are saying no.
I'm just like I've done the same thing, so I know how you feel.
No, I can't do that. And but the thing is, like, I guess I just love that. I love getting killed over and over and over again because I want to.
That's one way of saying
I want to learn. I want to learn.
That is the title of this segment. I love getting killed
over and over. But I want to learn. That's the thing, right? Like I want to learn how the fight is played, and how I want to learn how the moveset, because the moveset doesn't change. The moveset does not change in this entire fight. You just have to learn when you need to do certain things. That's the biggest thing. But like you have to, it's just something that I enjoy a lot. So sure. Again, so I recommend Bloodborne, Sekiro, guys. Seriously, go play it. I think you guys will be very, very surprised, especially for Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a very surprising game, and it's something that a lot of people are going to resonate with, because the lore and the combat itself is just so integral to the game itself, and it just like it drives you to like finish it. So I recommend those 2 games 100%.
Frank, did you have any comments, Frank, about this?
Yes. So I just want to preface this. I agree with Harv 100%. I think games should have better accessibility. I think the idea of difficulty settings have always been bullshit. I play every single one of my games on the hardest difficulty possible. And the one thing I've learned about it is it's literally just let's up the damage, lower the HP, call it a day. That's it. That's usually most of the time what devs do, and it's absolutely dumb bullshit. I'm glad you mentioned Fallen Order because I still have a video of just like we're gonna have Souls-like gameplay, but we're not gonna make it as fine-tuned as Souls. So when you actually get hit in the game on like what was it, Grandmaster or whatever they call it difficulty, yeah, you get hit once. It nine times out of 10, sometimes it's not really your fault, but you're gonna take half your HP off of it because it's on hard mode.
I finished that game I finished that on the hardest difficulty, and it was the worst thing imaginable because there is that game is not polished enough for it to be that level of difficult for that level of difficulty. No, that game is not polished enough to do that.
Fee, do you have something to say about this? I see you. No, you're just shaking your head. Okay.
Especially that one planet
where
Darth Maul comes from.
Okay. Go ahead, Fee.
No, what I was going to say was, like, for me, I tried to play Bloodborne on stream. I did not make it out of the first town. I could not with that game. It's just so difficult for me. One, my attention span. Two, probably some borderline because I'm female, so they never diagnosed me. I just don't have the attention span to be able to, like, freaking complete that type of game. I appreciate it, and I love, like, I'll sit and watch Harv play those types of games because I cannot play through those games. Two, it would seem like it's something I'm interested in because I love, like, fantasy games that are, like, creepy. Like, creepy fantasy games, give me all of them. But I cannot specifically play it myself.
Well, Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If somebody was with you playing it at the same, like if somebody was with you playing it, would you have a better time? If you had somebody just like talking to you while you were playing at the same time, would you have a better time with it?
So what I'm hearing is our first stream is going to be Fee playing Bloodborne with Harv coaching her through it. That's what I'm hearing.
Down for the stream. I'm down for
Could be wrong, but that's what I got from that.
I'm down because I know you're not the only one that feels that way. Like I feel like a lot of people feel like that way. And I know Blessing from Kind of Funny, he plays this, he said the same thing as well when he had Imran with him the entire time, right? And like I guess Andy felt the same way when he was playing it with his chat, right?
Same thing with
Greg.
Greg.
Feel like maybe yeah, exactly. Same with Greg as well. So like I feel like maybe you need somebody just to talk to
you
at the same time and just play the game. Yeah, just like Sherpa your way through the game and stuff like that. Because like I will say, Bloodborne is obtuse as fuck. It is obtuse. Like you don't know where to go. There are so many different ways. You fight a Bloodstarved beast and you're like, where do I go after this? Well, that was just an optional boss. You're like, what? What? That was an optional boss?
Yeah.
Wait.
What?
Yeah. So like it's just like one of those things where you have somebody to like kind of like run you through the game and talk to you about it and stuff like that. I am down for that stream. I am down for that. I would have so much fun with that.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Done.
I did have some other stuff to mention too.
Good. You still have time.
On the topic of difficulty, you know what I think Bloodborne could, or any From Software game could do actually. The main contention of difficulty on those games is obviously learning your timings, learning how to just not get hit. And I think what you could do for something like that is have a test in the beginning of the game if you need it. Whereas like, okay, we're going to give you a prompt. Let's see, what your reaction time is like, and we'll adjust the game accordingly.
One thing I will say, the game actually benefits you getting hit. That's the thing about Bloodborne, right? If you get hit, if you attack fast enough, you get your HP back. So like your hit really never existed.
Yeah, but it's like it's more timings. It's more timings is the difficult, and for a lot of people,
the timing comes into like parrying attacks and stuff like that. That's where all the time. But the thing is, like every character, every monster that you fight has a different window. So I feel like it might be a little bit tougher. But unless they like just said like enemies at this stature have this window, or like at least this kind of window, and then enemies of this stature have this window, and then enemies of this stature have this kind of window. Just like put it down to like 3 different kind of sub levels for parrying for parry attacks or for visceral attacks.
Yeah. Like Guitar Hero, if you guys remember, Guitar Hero Rock Band had something very similar where if you go into the options and you set it up, it'll calibrate it for you. And even if you're a little off, let's say your motor controls aren't there, the game would adjust it accordingly. So even if you're a little off, you can still play the game. You can still have the rhythm of the game, just your own rhythm. And I think the Soulsborne games could definitely benefit in doing something like that as well.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, for sure.
I didn't mean this to be like a big conversation.
This is a breakout segment. It's supposed to be. So don't you
I was
worry.
like, I'm gonna recommend Bloodborne and I'm gonna play Sekiro.
No, I'm happy. No, because we needed it to be a little longer. Thank you so much.
And V, if you're down for it, I'm excited. Like
I'm honestly, I'm 100% down for that. I know for a fact that like, here's me trying to play a game as a melee character. Is like I'm typically the person that you see in like a movie or like I'm gonna say an anime where it's like a stupid person who's like, I have a sword, I can go kill people. It's like you need to be strategic about it. And I'm like, I have a healer, and it's just like, no, you don't. And I'm just like, woo!
So Muso games are great for you.
Have someone.
You love Muso games. That's literally all it is.
It's just like I typically play a healer, like for the most part, shocker, and then I'll play like melee classes. Whenever I've played melee classes, I've always had a healer. So when I just don't have the healer, I just forget.
Sure.
And then I'm like, I'm gonna kill a bunch of people, and then I'm like, why is there a bunch of people behind me? This is why like DPS classes just don't work properly. And you can hear my MMORPG while I specifically start talking in a bunch of acronyms, but yeah. So I'm super down to play.
All right. Fee, you know what else?
They're fun series.
No, I'm holding you to that. I'm legit holding you to that now. So
I'm holding that.
I will 100% play it.
I am holding that.